Hello and welcome to another session on language and linguistics. In today's video, we shall this video is going to be a long one. It's a continuation of the previous video. We had touched upon linguistics, what linguistics is, various fields, interdisciplinary. I just told you in a nutshell the various fields of linguistics. We shall be taking up all of them in detail in the upcoming videos. Now, this video is on traditional linguistics and modern linguistics. So we're going to go back in history, or we're going to do a little bit of history of language. So language study over the years would be the topic. It is ideal to begin the study of linguistics with the basic knowledge of its history, that is, the developments over the years in various countries of the world, different approaches that they have used, and so on and so forth. We can divide the approaches to the study of linguistics as traditional approach and the modern approach. What we commonly call as traditional grammar is not in fact a single block of thought, nor is it a continuation of the previous contributions that were given to us by the predecessors. The beginning of traditional grammar can be traced back to the Greek scholarship of the period 5th century BC. For the Greek scholars, language was not a part of language study. It was just something included in philosophy, that is, part of the study of nature of everything around them. And one more thing, when I say grammar, it doesn't mean grammar as of in the sense that you use today, but grammar as of in a very broad sense, that is linguistics, the structure and everything. Okay, so how did it evolve? That is where we are going to find out. So for the Greek scholars, it was not just a part of language study. It was something that was included in philosophy. That is a part of the study of nature of everything around them. How or what, based on observation, the nature of things, the nature of everything. Okay. So one of the interesting controversies that existed in the olden times among these Greek scholars was on whether language was governed by nature, observation or nature of anything, or by convention, set principles, set laws decided by somebody. Was it through observation? Was it governed by nature, because nature gave us so many things. When I say nature, it is a complex term. It is not just nature as of natural things or the environment, but the nature of anything, the nature of our thoughts, the nature of the nature around us, the environment around us, because several laws, several things that we have today are begotten, or we have gotten them through careful observation of our environment, through careful observation of all things. So, is there regularity? Because nature has certain regularities. So, is there regularities? Is it governed by nature, or is it just a convention? Convention as of rules. Are there some rules, certain rules set by somebody? Okay, and people have been blindly or following it from a very long time. So that was the one controversy. One group or set of philosophers believed that language originated as well as functioned according to certain natural laws which are inviolable, indestructible, not corruptible, because they are the gifts of nature. Like the sounds that we make, both animals as well as us, that is something that is given as a gift of nature, right? So some of them believed, some of the philosophers, they believed that certain laws which are inviolable or certain laws are inviolable because they are gifts of nature. Okay, and that language originated as well as functioned according to these laws that are given by nature. That's how human beings behave. That's why there are several things happening in the world. There are certain laws that nature has given to us, and likewise language is also something that has been given to us by nature itself. But there was another group that strongly believed that language is conventional. It is a conventional matter, and they were called the conventionalists. Okay, that is, it is man-made thing. It is functioning according to the social contract made among the members of the society. A group of members, a community, the members of the community made a social contract, and as per the social contract, this language also functions. They are the rules set by these members of the society. So some people named it like that. The members of the society named a tree. A tree is named a tree because somebody named it. Like for example, your name. Let me call out one name. Say Nitya. Nitya is named Nitya because Nitya's parents named her Nitya. She could have been named Sri Lakshmi. She could have been named Susan. She could have been named Fatima. But Nitya's parents named her Nitya, so she is Nitya. Got it? So it is a man-made thing functioning according to a social contract made among the members of the society. That's one group who believed in it, in this nature of language. Okay, so and they were called the conventionalist. All right. So to the conventionalist, there is nothing permanent about language and especially the rules, because they are after all created by man. So they can be broken as and when they desired by men. So this debate led to Greek scholars to come to the topic of meaning and form of language later. Okay, Nitya decides, okay, I don't like my name. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, Nitya decides, I don't want this name. I want to name or give a different name. She publishes in the Gazette and she changes her name. So language, the conventionalists, according to them, language as such, even nature is not, nothing in nature is permanent. So it's the same thing, things go the same for language also. And the rules can be created and can be broken when desired by men. So this debate led the Greek scholars to come up with the topic of meaning and form of language later. The Greek scholar Cratylus was of the view that all words have a natural connection with the objects they stand for. According to him, that is Cratylus, names are not arbitrarily chosen. That is, they are all appropriate to the objects they stand for. It was out of this belief that the practice of going into the origin of words, that is the etymology, began. Okay, so Cratylus, like for instance, the onomatopic word, origin of theory, we studied the onomatopic words, pleat, bow theory, similar to that. So Cratylus believed that the language arbitrary എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് തെറ്റാണെന്നാണ് Cratylus and the group of scholars believed that it is arbitrary. Not arbitrary Allah, it is arbitrary, because he felt that there is a connection between the name and what it stands for. That's what they believed, and they are the traditionalists, not the conventionalists. Okay, so this led to what? This led to another research, and that was to find out the origin of words. It is etymology. So the word etymology is derived from the Greek word etimo, which means real. So to the school of Cratylus, or the school of Cratylus, that group believed that looking into the origin of a particular word, they can come up with the basic truth of its evolution. For example, bleat, hoot, crash, all these are onomatopic words. Now they are of course what I gave are the English words. What the Greeks took were the Greek words equivalent to bleat, hoot, crash. Adinte Greek words aanu avaru eduthittulladu. Idipo njan thannathu English words aanu. I just gave this for an example. So they found that these words imitated the sound they referred to. They also took up another set of words which denoted the source itself, like cuckoo for instance. It stands for both sound and the bird. Alle a bird ne adepole a sound ne nammal cuckoo nu thaneyanu. Bleat nu parayumbothekku a sound maatrame varunollu. Pakshe cuckoo ennokke parayunnathu it stands for both the sound and the bird. The Greek naturalists, they believed that such onomatopic words forms the basic of any language. That is, it is onomatopic words. These onomatopic words are the nucleus of the vocabulary. Vocabulary the nucleus ennu parayunna onomatopic words ennaanu naturalist chindichirunnu. Now naturalist and conventionalist, okay, they are the traditionalists or the naturalists. To be precise, they are the Cratylus and group they are called the naturalists. But there is a small problem. Only a few words belonged to this category. So they tried to prove the natural origin of many other words also. They asserted that many sounds are suggestive or imitative of the qualities of certain objects. Now there is a problem because only few words belong to this category. So they tried to prove the natural origin of many other words also. They put their theory in it and they tried to prove the natural origin. It's not man-made, but it's naturally given, natural origin of many words too. Natural origin എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ഈ മാൻ മെയ്ഡ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് എന്തെങ്കിലും ഒരു പേരിട്ടു എന്നുള്ളതാണ് മാൻ മെയ്ഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്. നാച്ചുറൽ ഒറിജിൻ എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ഞാൻ ഇതിൻ്റെ ഒരു എക്സാമ്പിൾ പറയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ഒന്നുകൂടെ മനസ്സിലാവുമെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. ചില സൗണ്ട് ലൈക്ക് ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ ലിക്വിഡിൻ്റെ ൽ സൗണ്ട് ഹാസ് some property of liquids. Okay, the liquid sound l എന്നുള്ള ആ സൗണ്ടിന് നാച്ചുറൽ ഒറിജിൻ വെച്ച് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ആ l sound has, according to the naturalists, it has some property of liquids, and that is the reason as to why the naturalists say that it has a natural origin. Languages or words have natural origin. But now the modern linguists അവരിതിനെ റെഫർ ചെയ്യുന്നത് സൗണ്ട് സിംബോളിസം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടാണ്. ഒരു വാക്ക് അങ്ങനെയാണ് അവർ അതിനെ കാണുന്നത്. മോഡേൺ ലിംഗ്വിസ്റ്റ്, okay, they refer to this as sound symbolism. There are certain words like words which are based on sound symbols. So അതിൻ്റെ ബേസിസിലാണ് ഇത് എന്ന് പറയുന്നു മോഡേൺ ലിംഗ്വിസ്റ്റ്. Okay, anyway, most of the words of any language belonged to other categories which did not have any connection or any direct connection between the word and their reference. In such cases, or in the case of such words, the naturalists, they tried to defend their arguments, stating that words all derived from other words, either by addition or deletion or substitution or transposition of sounds. They claimed that going back, they would trace the origin of all words which were often far removed from the existing ones. അപ്പോൾ ഇതിൽ നിന്നും ബാക്കിലോട്ട് പോയിട്ട് ഹിസ്റ്റോറിക്കലായിട്ട് നോക്കുകയാണെങ്കിൽ മാത്രമേ അവർക്ക് ആ ഒറിജിൻ വാക്കിൽ നിന്നും നാച്ചുറലായിട്ട് ഒറിജിനേറ്റ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള ആ വാക്കിൽ നിന്നും ചിലപ്പോൾ അത് ഡിലീഷനോ സബ്സ്റ്റിറ്റ്യൂഷനോ, അതായത് എല്ലാ വാക്കുകൾക്കും നമ്മളുടെ വൊക്കാബുലറിയിലുള്ള എല്ലാ വാക്കുകൾക്കൊന്നും ഈ തിയറി യൂസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റില്ല. അപ്പോൾ അവരെന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നു, അവർ ഡിഫെൻഡ് ചെയ്യാണ്. ട്രൈ ടു ഡിഫെൻഡ് ദി ആർഗ്യുമെൻറ്റ് സ്റ്റേറ്റിംഗ് ദാറ്റ് ഇറ്റ് കുഡ് ബി ബിക്കോസ് ദാറ്റ് certain letters are deleted, certain letters are added, certain words are letters are substituted, and that is the reason as to why what we have or what the words that we have today, or how we got the words today. അത് എപ്പോൾ ഗ്രീക്ക് ടൈമിലുള്ള ഗ്രീക്ക് 5th സെഞ്ച്വറിയിലുള്ളപ്പോഴാണ് അവിടുത്തെ ആ പുതിയ ഇവോൾവ്ഡ് വേർഡ്സ്. ഫോർ ദം ദ വേർഡ്സ് that they were living in the 5th century, for them that is the modern world. So the words that they got were far removed from the existing word. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾക്ക് കിട്ടിയപ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് എത്രത്തോളം വ്യത്യാസം വന്നു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടാവും എന്നൊന്ന് ആലോചിച്ച് നോക്കൂ. അപ്പോൾ ഇവിടെ നാച്ചുറലിസ്റ്റ് പറയുന്നത് എന്താണ്, ലാംഗ്വേജ് എന്ന് പറയുന്ന ഒറിജിൻ ഓഫ് ദി ലാംഗ്വേജ്, there is some natural origin to it. Okay, the words or the sounds could have something to do with the property of what it stood for, and that is how we got the word. അപ്പോൾ നാച്ചുറൽ എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നേച്ചർ തരുന്നു എന്നുള്ള അർത്ഥമല്ല, പക്ഷേ അതിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി നോക്കിയിട്ട്, ഇപ്പോൾ ലിക്വിഡ് എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ ആ ലിക്വിഡിൻ്റെ ഒരു ഫ്ലോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ആ ലിക്വിഡിൻ്റെ ഒരു പ്രോപ്പർട്ടി സൗണ്ടിൽ ഉള്ളത് കൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം അത് സൗണ്ട് കെയിം ഇൻ ടു ബീയിങ്. അങ്ങനെ ഉള്ള ഒരു സംഭവമാണ് ഈ നാച്ചുറലിസ്റ്റ് ബിലീവ് ചെയ്തിരുന്നത്. ഓക്കെ, now anyway, the dispute between the naturalist and the conventionalist lasted for many centuries, and this led to more investigation about the relationship between words and their meanings. This gave a new direction to the study of grammar. This dispute also developed another kind of disagreement among the scholars as to how far language was regular. Those who believed that there is regularity in all aspects of language were called the analogists, and those who found language as possessing an irregular nature were called the anomalists. The anomalists believed that language could be explained in terms of natural relationship only partly. ഒരു പകുതി മാത്രമേ അതിൻ്റെ ആ നാച്ചുറൽ റിലേഷൻഷിപ്പ്, ലാംഗ്വേജിൻ്റെ ഇൻ ടേംസ് ഓഫ് നാച്ചുറൽ റിലേഷൻഷിപ്പ് പകുതിയിൽ മാത്രമേ, കുറച്ച് മാത്രമേ നമുക്ക് ലാംഗ്വേജിനെ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുള്ളൂ. If you come to the 3rd century BC, language studies centered in Alexandria in Greece were more intended to retain the purity of Greek language. They felt that its purity was being corrupted as compared to the past. For example, ഇതിപ്പോൾ അലക്സാൻഡ്രിയ ഗ്രീസാണ്, 5th സെഞ്ച്വറി ആണ്. ഇത് 5th സെഞ്ച്വറി അല്ല, 3rd സെഞ്ച്വറി ബി സിയിലാണ്, അതൊക്കെ മുന്നേ ഉള്ള സമയം. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെ ഈ പ്യൂരിറ്റി നഷ്ടപ്പെടുക, ലാംഗ്വേജിൻ്റെ പ്യൂരിറ്റി നഷ്ടപ്പെടുക എന്ന് പറയുമ്പോൾ അതിപ്പോഴത്തെ ഒരു കാലഘട്ടമായിട്ട് ഞാൻ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ, ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ നമ്മൾ ഗുഡ് നൈറ്റ് എന്ന് എഴുതില്ലേ, ഗുഡ് നൈറ്റ് എന്ന് ഇപ്പോൾ എങ്ങനെ എഴുതുക? ചിലർ ജി എന്ന് എഴുതും, എന്നിട്ട് നൈറ്റ് എന്ന് എഴുതും. ചിലർ ജി എന്ന് എഴുതിയിട്ട് NITE എഴുതും. ചിലർ ജിയും 8ഉം എഴുതും. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ചിലർ ഗുഡ് എന്നുള്ള GU ആക്കും. യു എന്നുള്ളതിന് പകരം ദ ലെറ്റർ യു ഇടും, അല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ ഫോർ ഒരു ലാംഗ്വേജ് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടുന്ന അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വളരെ ലാംഗ്വേജ് പ്രിസൈസായിട്ട് ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്ന ആൾക്കാർക്ക് ഇത് വലിയൊരു തെറ്റായിട്ടാണ് അവർ കാണുന്നത്. ഫോർ എക്സാമ്പിൾ, നിങ്ങൾ ഈ യു എന്നുള്ളത് തന്നെ യൂണിവേഴ്സിറ്റി എക്സാമിന് പോയിട്ട് എഴുതി നോക്കിക്കേ, ആ യു എന്നുള്ളത്, ഇറ്റ് വിൽ ബി മാർക്ക്ഡ് റോങ്. You will lose mark because in writing it is considered as corrupt. Not only in writing, because it sound മാത്രമേ അല്ല, നമ്മൾ സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ സൗണ്ട് മാത്രമേ വരുന്നുള്ളൂ, അതുകൊണ്ട് കുഴപ്പമില്ല. പക്ഷേ അത് റൈറ്റിങ്ങിലോട്ട് വരുമ്പോൾ it is something that is like corrupting the language. So ഇതിലും ഈ സംഭവമാണ് ഇവിടെയും നടക്കുന്നത്. അലക്സാൻഡ്രിയയിലുള്ള 3rd century BC, language studies centered in Alexandria were intended to retain the purity of Greek language. So, with the establishment of great library in Alexandria, the Greeks tried to revive Homeric works, and they decided to preserve and keep their purity. To the Greek linguists or to the Greek linguist scholars, written language was the primary focus. അപ്പോൾ അവിടെയാണ് പ്രശ്നം സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അടുത്ത ഒരു ഡിസഗ്രിമെൻറ്റ് വരുന്നത് ഇതിലാണ്. എന്താണ് ഈ ഡിസഗ്രിമെൻറ്റ്? ഈ ഡിസഗ്രിമെൻറ്റ് എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ച് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ, റൈറ്റിംഗ് വാസ് ഗിവൺ primary importance. We studied when we did language features of language that writing is secondary, primary is speech, right? That's what the modern linguists try to tell you. But in the past, the reason as to why we got that misconception that writing is primary or writing a written document is very very important, speech is secondary എന്നുള്ള മിസ്കോൺസെപ്റ്റ് എന്നുള്ളെങ്കിൽ ഡിസ്പ്യൂട്ട് വന്നതിൻ്റെ കാരണം തന്നെ ഇവിടെ നിന്നാണ്. അതായത് 3rd century BC-യിൽ ഇത് അലക്സാൻഡ്രിയയിൽ ഒരു ലൈബ്രറി എസ്റ്റാബ്ലിഷ് ചെയ്യുകയും അവർ ഹോമറിക് വർക്ക്സ് ദേ ട്രൈ ടു കീപ് ദ പ്യൂരിറ്റി ഓഫ് ദ ഗ്രീക്ക് ലാംഗ്വേജ് and they considered written language as primary. Moreover, it was during this period that two misconceptions entered the study of language. One being that language is basically a study of written language, and the other, the spoken language, is secondary. Another misconception is regarding the purity of language. Now, നമ്മളുടെ language, English language, when we speak about English language, the British language or the British English is considered important. It is considered the received pronunciation. It is considered standard English. There are other dialects in Britain. There are various other dialects in Britain, but the dialect in the Midland dialect is considered the standard English. Now, why is it so? Why is it that we consider American English not so standard or not as high and superior as the British language? Is there any such thing as standard English? Is there any such thing as standard language? Now, when we come to Malayalam, let's come to Malayalam. നമ്മളുടെ കേരളത്തിൽ ഓരോ ഡിസ്ട്രിക്റ്റിനും ഓരോ സ്ഥലത്ത്, ഡിസ്ട്രിക്റ്റ് മാത്രമല്ല, ഓരോ ഡിസ്ട്രിക്റ്റിൽ തന്നെ ഓരോ പ്രദേശത്ത് ഓരോ തരത്തിലുള്ള സംസാര ശൈലിയാണ്, അല്ലേ, ഡയലക്ട്സ് ആണ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ ഇങ്ങനെ ഓരോ സ്ഥലങ്ങളിങ്ങനെ പോകുമ്പോൾ തിരുവനന്തപുരത്തുള്ള ഭാഷ മലയാളം ഭാഷ is totally different from that spoken in കൊല്ലം. കൊല്ലത്തിൽ നിന്ന് നമ്മൾ ആലപ്പുഴ എത്തുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അവിടെ വേറൊരു രീതിയാണ്. ആലപ്പുഴയിൽ നിന്ന് എറണാകുളം എത്തുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അവിടെ വേറൊരു രീതിയാണ്. എറണാകുളം ടൗൺ വേറൊരു രീതി, ഫോർട്ട് കൊച്ചി വേറൊരു രീതി. അത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് നമ്മൾ തൃശ്ശൂർ എത്തുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അത് ടോട്ടലി ഡിഫറെൻ്റ് ആണ്. തൃശ്ശൂരിൽ നിന്നും കോഴിക്കോട് പോകുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് ഡിഫറെൻ്റായി, കോഴിക്കോട് നിന്നും കാസർഗോഡ്, കണ്ണൂർ അങ്ങോട്ടൊക്കെ പോയി കഴിയുമ്പോഴത്തേക്കും ഇത് മലയാള ഭാഷയാണോന്ന് തന്നെ നമുക്ക് we won't be able to understand it. So can we say that all these types of Malayalam, dialects of Malayalam are like what are not good? Do we have a standard Malayalam? ഇപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ മലയാളം പഠിക്കുമ്പോൾ മലയാള അധ്യാപകർ, ഇപ്പോൾ രഞ്ജിത്ത് സാറൊക്കെ നമുക്ക് മലയാളം എടുക്കുമ്പോൾ രഞ്ജിത്ത് സാറിൻ്റെ നല്ല സ്ഫുടതയുള്ള നല്ല മലയാളമാണ്, അല്ലേ. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ബീന മിസ് ഹിന്ദി സംസാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ നല്ല ഹിന്ദിയാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതാണോ സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ലാംഗ്വേജ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത്? സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് ഹിന്ദി അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്റ്റാൻഡേർഡ് മലയാളം എന്ന് പറയുന്ന അതിനെയാണോ, അല്ലേ? അപ്പോൾ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സംഭവം ഉണ്ടോ? ഇവിടെ ഒരു മിസ്കൺസെപ്ഷനാണ്. ട്രിവാൻഡ്രത്തുള്ള ആൾക്കാർ സംസാരിക്കുന്ന ഭാഷ ഈസ് ഈക്വലി acceptable as the ones speaking in Thrissur or as the ones speaking in Kannur or Kasargod. There is no such thing as standard language, but the scholars do try to point out that there should be a standard. There is purity in language, and the language has there is a standard language എന്നുള്ള. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് ഈ ഒരു മിസ്കൺസെപ്ഷൻ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത് തന്നെ ഈ ഗ്രീക്കിലുള്ള ഈ ടൈമിൽ നിന്നാണ്. Okay, the Alexandrian scholars were not willing to make any compromise in this regard. According to them, Greek language of the 5th century writers was the correct form, and that too the Attic writers. It was the correct form, and it should be retained as such by preventing illiterate people from corrupting it. This prejudice has remained unchallenged for more than 2000 years. Even now it is continuing. The credit for introducing terms like nouns, verbs and adjectives in the study of language goes to the Greek scholar Protagoras, Plato and Aristotle. Now, along with this school of linguists in Alexandria, there was another school of linguists called Stoics, and they gave maximum attention to language and its study. See, the Alexandrians were mostly anomalists. Now, anomalists, they believed that language has or possesses an irregular nature, and they felt that language could be explained in terms of natural relationships, at least partly, okay, or only partly. Whereas the analogists, they believed that language, or they wanted to see how far language was regular. They believed in the regularity in all aspects of language. So they were the analogists. So Alexandrians were anomalists and Stoics were analogists. The best codified grammar description that came to be known to the Western world was that of the Greek scholar Dionysius Thrax, late 2nd century BC. In addition to the 4 parts of speech which the Stoics had mentioned, that is, the Stoics are the ones who had given this, okay, the Stoics are the ones who are responsible or who gave us nouns, verbs, adjectives and conjunctions. They were the analogists, okay, not anomalists, no, analogists. Okay, you don't have to worry about getting these things right, you just have to just listen. We are speaking about the history. Okay, in addition to the 4 parts of speech which the Stoics had mentioned, Dionysius came up with adverb, participle, pronouns, prepositions. And classification of Greek words was done on the basis of case, on the basis of number, gender, tense, voice, mood, etc. Now does it make sense? Okay, so these people, they are the ones, these Stoics are the ones who are actually responsible for giving us what we have today as grammar. Okay, so this will soon get into, or the Romans will copy this, they will follow this, and very soon the Romans will have it in the form of Latin, and Latin will become the basis, or grammar, all this Latin will become the basis for learning and understanding anything. Okay, language, Latin would be given the primary importance. So that we will see in the next video. See, these are all history, so I just want you to listen to it. So these are things that we discussed. We discussed how the misconcepts came into being, why we consider, we feel, even today we feel that there is standard language, why we feel that spoken language is given, written language is given the primary importance, and spoken language is given secondary importance. There's 2 schools of thoughts, the anomalists and the analogists. The anomalists, the Alexandrians, they believe like Cratylus. They believe that there is something to do with nature, there is irregularity of nature, and therefore, they believed in those things. Whereas the Stoics, on the other hand, they believed that sorry, the anomalists, they believed in the irregularity of nature, and the analogists, they believed that language has some sort of regularity. And they were the Stoics, and these Stoics are the ones who gave us nouns, the verbs, adjectives and conjunctions, and later we got participles, adverbs and pronouns and prepositions and other bases of like case, number, gender, tense, voice, mood, etc. All these were given to us by them. Dionysius Thrax was the one who was responsible for this. Okay, so with that we begin our grammar, or what we have. This is just the root, this is just the history. Okay, in the next video we'll come to, from Greece we'll move on to the Romans. Okay, and then from there to the Indian tradition, the medieval period, and then the Indian tradition, and then we'll come to the Indo-Aryan race. ഇതൊക്കെ ഒന്ന് കേട്ടിരുന്നാൽ മാത്രം മതി, വല്ലാണ്ട് തല പുകയേണ്ട. പക്ഷേ ക്ലാസ്സിൽ എക്സാമിന് 2-3 ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ഇതിൽ നിന്നും പ്രതീക്ഷിക്കാം. എന്നുവെച്ചാൽ സിലബസിൽ ഓൾറെഡി ഇതൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. എന്താണ് ട്രഡീഷണൽ അപ്രോച്ചും മോഡേൺ അപ്രോച്ചും. ട്രഡീഷണൽ അപ്രോച്ചിൽ പെടുന്നതാണ് ഇതെല്ലാം, ഒറിജിനും ഒക്കെ. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പോൾ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചൊന്ന് കേട്ടിരിക്കാം. ഓക്കെ, ഇഫ് യു ഹാവ് എനി ഡൗട്ട്സ് വിൽ take it up in the WhatsApp session, or we'll discuss in detail. All doubts can be cleared in our Google Meet. Okay, thank you and keep safe.